Hello, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot. Thank you so very much for being here. To my new subscribers, welcome, welcome. I hope you enjoy the Soulprint experience. My established subscribers, of course, you know I just adore you. So thank you very much, all of you, for taking a few minutes to listen to what today's message is, I guess. You're going to be seeing this on August 30th. Wow, like the summer is over. Although I imagine for people in the southern hemisphere, they are really glad because, of course, winter is over for them. So, so that the whole box thing, right? I mean, it continues to carry on. Now he's trying to claim some sort of executive privilege, but he doesn't have any executive privilege to claim unless there are documents within those boxes pertaining to correspondence between him and his lawyers. So I don't think that should turn into a big deal. It's just another one of his typical delay tactics because, we all know that's the game he plays. He's super good at it. So the NARAs, which is the National Archives, whatever, apparently they're getting messages from both sides of the spectrum. Some of them are saying, how dare you conspiring, you're conspiring against like the true president of the United States, and you're trying to, hurt him. And then the other ones are coming along and they're saying, congratulations for finally bringing their jerk down. And so they apparently have said that neither is accurate nor welcome. And that's fair, right? I mean, they're the ones who are tasked with preserving those documents, but there's a whole lot going on there. So I thought today I would see if I could unbox some of the boxes. For those of you wondering, I swear one of these days I'm going to get back to my table. But just right now in my world, this is just an easier way for me to do this. So here we are. I know some of you really miss seeing the cards displayed continually, and others of you really like this. So can't please everybody, right? Okay, so here we go. I want to take a look at resolution of retrieve boxes, resolution of retrieve boxes, resolution of retrieve boxes. Hopefully that's sort of broad enough to give us some idea what the heck is going on. Okay. So to start with, it was actually a really big accomplishment because he was so defensive and he was, standing behind these elusive walls of some kind of privilege that he thinks he still has. So it was really hard to get past him, but they have done so. And really what it took was it took different organizations, I guess, within that branch of government, right? It took the FBI, it took the Department of Justice, it took the National Archives to kind of come together and work together to bring this thing, to sort of a resolution. We haven't heard all of it yet, okay? If we think that what we've heard so far is just an incredible slap in the face and scary because God only knows how much, national security has been impacted or not impacted. Nobody knows what he did with the information in that box. I guess that's up to speculation. But, again, we've had 4 or 5 years of kind of seeing what he's made of. So, some of them I think probably are pretty educated guesses. But there is still more information to come out. And there is still some information that's going to come out that is, kind of about dark money or about behind the scene negotiations or deals that were made. So that's not going to be like really great. Okay, so I'll just show you quick. So the 3 of Cups is representing that sort of celebration of getting as far as they did. The 9 of Wands is him being protective and trying to keep himself protected. 3 of Wands is representing the fact that we haven't heard it all yet. There's still more to come. And the 3 of Pentacles is talking to us about, those sort of darker connections that maybe do not necessarily, need to come out. So it's followed by the Five of Cups and the Eight of Cups. And so, he is, he's disappointed that he couldn't get away with it because he really believes, I truly, truly, that he is king. He completely believes that he is above the law. And he believed that before he was president. And so now, goodness help us, he just absolutely thinks that it's his God given right. But ultimately, this nonsense that's going on is going to end up causing him to yet continue to lose some support. People are going to continue to walk away from him. Not the crazy people, okay? They're just in. But others are like, okay, you know what? Like at the point where you're like trying to take over the government in a hostile way, that was bad enough. But at the point where there's the potential of you really putting not only national security but the security of people in other parts of the world, the security of the very foundations and fundamentals of the government, when you start jeopardizing that and pretending that you were being cooperative and it was all innocent because you were, get this, you were gonna like write your memoirs. Come on, people. um so he's going to continue to lose more and more support. So interestingly, I heard today that Rona McDonald, Rona, whatever her name is, that chick who is the RNC, head of the RNC, the thing that runs sort of the elections and handles the election money. So apparently, first of all, the Democrats have way more money than the Republicans do. So that's just really indicative of kind of the way the tides have turned. Um, so you have something like $100 million has vanished, and nobody can find out exactly what happened to it because the guy who's supposed to be taking care of it apparently is on some yacht off the coast of Italy. So apparently they have very little resources, something like $28 million that they're trying to, run this huge national campaign with, and they don't have the money. Meanwhile, Trump is sitting on $100 million plus, and he's not sharing. And anybody who thought he should share is really, really give your head a shake. Okay, he is in a totally, totally defensive and protective posture. He believes he has the high ground because, frankly, he has more money than them. And people who seek his endorsements or receive his endorsements and foolishly believe that you are actually in a partnership with him, you're not. You're being used as an arm of his fundraising um, apparatus, right? Because that's what he's about. We've talked about this 100 times. It's not going to change. He is in it for the money. I don't believe he's going to run again. I don't believe he's going to announce, because as soon as he does, that changes the rules about money. This is all about him accumulating as much wealth as he can on the backs of people really who can't afford to continue to feed him money. Meanwhile, there are such bad choices in some of the Republican nominees that Republican big donors are really reluctant to share their wealth in that way. In fact, there's some sort of scuttlebutt that some of them are even helping some of the Democrat nominees because the Republican ones are just so horrendous. Okay. So is see, this is the thing. As long as this thing plays out and plays out, he can continue to monetize that. And that's what he's about, you know? Now the government, however, is they're moving forward, okay? And like this is the thing, right? People just want it to be resolved, but I remember hearing I think it was one of the lawyers saying something about, you have to understand that right now Lawyers within the Department of Justice, within, wherever they draw them from, are running around trying to get their security clearances so they can actually look at some of the stuff that he had hidden away, because they don't have the clearance to actually look at the documents. So there's a lot of that kind of stuff going on, but they are moving through it. The government has the upper hand in this, whether some days it feels like it or not. You're talking about Merrick Garland is on top of this, and you know they are doing what they need to do. More and more, expect some more bombshells. Expect some more information coming about the contents of those boxes, and possibly even who was, you know, whispering perhaps in somebody's ears about what was going on in that basement. But this is the thing to remember. Not only is sort of the law coming after him, and by that I mean like the Department of Justice, but you also have female attorneys who are also hot on his heels. Honestly, it's hard to know what's going to get him first. So there's like a lot of that going on. The reality is this: listen, most people in the country want something. And they don't really care what at this point, I don't think. Just something to bring him down, either prevent him from running again or damage him to the point where he cannot count on those traditional Republican votes. That is the higher wish and higher intention of the country. And so, like, those boxes, they have boxed them in. Plain as simple as that. Okay. They are going to be part of what brings him down, but they are not going to be the whole story. There is going to be more information, kind of scary information, that is coming out from the January 6th committee. The thing in Georgia is moving ahead, and there's definitely going to be some problems for him there. And you have Lindsey Graham, like, I don't know, like, fighting this thing, and I don't know if they're going to actually be able to get him or force him to testify. But and so is Kemp, right? Who's also trying to claim he has some sort of government protection or something. It's not going to work. Um, but there are those who are very, very interested in keeping what they know really close to their chest. And the problem now is with the new information about the boxes and some of the contents of those boxes, people are becoming even more cautious about talking, because, on the one hand, they're not exactly sure, some of them, how much trouble they're in. And they're also not sure exactly what kind of um, dogs Trump can send after them. Okay. So on the one hand, they don't want to talk because they're scared that they're going to sort of implicate themselves. And on the other hand, they don't really want to say anything too forcefully against Trump, because we know what happens when people, do anything to touch the chosen one. Is his little minions go into attack mode. And I think some ways, particularly those who have been really supportive of Trump, when they sort of start to turn a little bit, I think that's when those deluded supporters of his just kind of lose it, because then they view it as like a real betrayal. Okay, so those people who know stuff are being very, very cautious, because they don't want to get dragged into, um, I don't know, his fall, I guess. But the reality is the law's going to win this. And I got a news for you. Look at this. You've got the Eight of Pentacles here. So honestly, it feels like it's coming at them from a lot of different angles. If you look at these Eight Pentacles and sort of apply them to individual investigations, etc. He's got a lot. There's a lot of stuff being worked at behind the scenes that we don't know about yet. and charges, indictments, that kind of thing, they are going to be forthcoming. I said before, in terms of timing, I'm not actually sure that that's going to happen before the election. um, as of like what, September 5th, I guess is when Labor Day is this year. Um, it really, really does become sort of the unofficial, official beginning of election season in the United States. And I think that a lot of people are going to be reluctant to sort of drag this kind of thing into the election cycle. And furthermore, I don't believe that they're not, they're purposely delaying it. I think that this thing is such a cauldron of mess that, again, same old thing. They need to be really, really, really sure that they have all their ducks in a row before they, bring charges against him, because this is unprecedented. This has never happened in the United States before, where a president is being, or a former president is being brought up on criminal charges, let alone charges of potential espionage. So this is not something they can rush into nilly willy, even though for us it feels like, God Almighty, you just wish that they would, get the lead out. But they're working hard and they're working very, very diligently. But things are just crashing down around him. Um, he can't find good lawyers, right? People who normally help him are backing away. The people in his inner circle are kind of dealing with somebody who's unhinged and out of control, and he's going to keep behaving that way because it's all about the money for him. It's always all about the money. It is the only song he knows how to sing. Okay, so that's sort of where he's at right now. As far as the boxes themselves, it definitely looks like there he was keeping hold of some very just stuff that not he shouldn't have had any of it, but some of the things that he was keeping hold of were just so dangerous for him to have, because of course nobody really has complete clarity about what kind of deals were or weren't made with what countries or what people within countries. Okay. So the burden of trying to get all of this documentation back, do the damage assessments on it, sort everything out, trust me, it's being done. They are doing the damage assessment. They are looking at things. They are trying to sort it all out. It is a lot. You know, what are they saying now? Some 300 documents marked confidential or above. And what we have to realize is when they say document, it's not a piece of paper. There can be hundreds of pages within the document. So, this is a lot, but they are diligently, they're carefully, they're mindfully moving forward and, and getting this stuff. I wish, you know, I could get a real clear handle on exactly what's in the boxes, but of course I can't do that. And because this is for entertainment purposes only, I wouldn't, right? You just don't want to stir up a hornet's nest when so much is on the line. But again, it's really important to remember that as more and more focus and attention continues to be paid on him and his dirty little secrets, he's losing his support and he's losing partnerships. So, this is the thing, right? Let's just say he made a deal with, I don't know, some other country, and he was going to pass along, some information that was top secret and needed to be held privately and confidentially in the United States. On the one hand, while that may put that other country in a temporary position of power because they know something that they shouldn't know, it's also sort of making them a target, is it not? Because as soon as they go public with that, they now have the flippin' wrath of the United States coming after them. So I think that simply as a way of self-preservation, if there is stuff that's out there, I think it may be um, neutralized a little bit. So Trump is going to, here's the greedy king, right? And Trump is going to continue to try to keep all these balls in the air because he can make this work for him. As long as there are still people who will send him $20 and $50 and whatever it is, and as long as there are people who will threaten the FBI or the Department of Justice or the National Archives, for God's sakes, he's going to keep these balls in the air. Okay, he is not going to drop them. So if you're expecting for Trump to kind of stop the games when he realizes how deep he is, I wouldn't anticipate that happening. I really, really wouldn't. But for sure, the emotions of the country, okay, are evolving away from him. Look at this. You have the Page of Cups, the Knight of Cups, and the King of Cups, and Judgment. So as people sort of evolve emotionally, as they absorb the information they're hearing, whether it's from the J6 committee or bits and snippets out of Georgia, or of course this horrendous situation with the Department of Justice and the FBI and the National Archives, people's processes about this are evolving. They're becoming like literally more mature. They have more understanding. They have more clarity. There is an evolution about the way people are thinking and perceiving him. And the judgment is going to be harsh. So, that's what I know right now. Ultimately, oh look, here's the three of hearts. He's going to have his heart broken. It's not going to work for him, and ultimately, the emperor is not going to have any clothes on because look at here comes justice riding to the rescue of the American people, the Constitution, and those things that the vast majority of people hold dear. I have to tell you, every day, stronger and stronger does the support of the Democrats um, strengthen, right? I mean, Biden's numbers are going up. Um, they're doing an amazing job in terms of fundraising. Marco Rubio is like crying because Val Demings has more money than he does in Florida. Well, that's because everybody's figured out he's kind of stupid, this guy, and doesn't really deserve to be a senator. Um, so there's a lot of sort of balls in the air overall, but there's this progression or evolution in the way people of the United States are actually thinking about politics and the way they're thinking about elections. And there's always that group of people who don't pay attention, and that's okay. We all have our lives to live, but some of this stuff is seeping through, even if they're trying to live, in a cave, right? I mean, you can't sort of help but hear about the fact that what was it, like 35 something boxes were removed from Mar-a-Lago. And listen, don't make the mistake. This is not his residence. This is a social club. He just happens to stay there some of the time. They're making it sound as if, he has this completely like White House like secured property on there. He doesn't. And there's no security. There was nothing protecting those documents, and God only knows. Oh, and that reminds me, there's been a lot of fuss this past weekend talking about, people who had access to Mar-a-Lago. And one of them was this chick named Anna de Rothschild. Okay. If you are, I believe it is Netflix. If you have Netflix, there is like a series that was done called Inventing Anna, and it is about her. Now, I saw it, and I don't exactly remember any direct part of the thing that specifically talked about Trump and Mar-a-Lago, but it's a fascinating, fascinating story. But she was a complete fraud. And that investigation into her is still ongoing from what I can understand. But the reality is, it's like nobody checks their security, because if they're wearing the right clothes, or they say they know the right people, or they do know a few of the right people, they sort of get this like carte blanche, right? They're just allowed to join the circle of those who breathe, rarefied air. And so there was nothing to protect those documents. And that's going to come back. There's going to be trouble. There's so much exposure coming out. And the more Trump thinks that he can sort of wiggle his way out of this, honestly, the worse his fortunes are going to become, because, as he's wiggling, right, he's changing his story every like 12 to 18 hours. And so what you have is, you know, I mean, even the people who are trying to defend him can't keep up with the latest story. So the boxes are going to continue to box him in. He is not going to be able to escape everything that is coming at him. And there are going to be indictments coming his way. Um, so, again, just a note of caution. I believe he is going to be indicted, and I believe there are going to be guilty charges. I do not know, even now, if anybody gets to see him in that orange jumpsuit going to jail. God knows he deserves it. But I think there might be some, deference paid to his previous position within the government, no matter how it was achieved. Just as the deference that the National Archives and, the FBI and the Department of Justice all paid him trying to get those documents back. So house arrest possibly, that kind of thing, I can see that. But I don't know. Don't get your hopes completely up in terms of, you know, a jail sentence. Honestly, I hope I'm wrong. I really do. But that's kind of where we're at right now. So, as we draw to the end of summer, um, it's time to focus again, right? It's time to recharge, because it all starts again. I haven't heard yet of any dates coming in terms of the J6 committee and when their public hearings are going to start, but we do know that they've been working really hard, and they've been working all summer. So heaven knows there's more excitement to come from that arena too. Okay, until next time, take care, be well, and we'll see you really, really soon. Bye bye.